One of your neighbors is worth $4 million. The other one is one missed paycheck away from not making rent. Same street, same size house, same car in the driveway. And you cannot tell which one is which. Neither can they, most days. Not by looking at each other. The lawns match, the lifestyles match, the Instagram feeds match. Here's the uncomfortable part. You probably think you know which one you'd rather be. What you don't know is which one you actually are. This video is about the difference between rich and wealthy, what it means, why it's nearly invisible from the outside, and which one you're actually building, whether you know it or not. Here's the thing about personal finance education. Most of it stops at income. Earn more, spend less, save the difference. And that framework isn't wrong, it's just incomplete, because it treats income as the finish line, when income is actually just the starting point. So let's define the terms properly. Being rich means having a high income, a large cash flow coming in. It means you can afford things, nice things, expensive things, things that signal success. It is a rate, money per unit of time, a salary, a revenue figure, a number on a pay stub. Being wealthy is something different entirely. Wealth is a stock, not a flow. It's the accumulation of assets minus liabilities. It's what you would have left if the income stopped tomorrow. Investments, equity, savings, ownership stakes, things that hold value and generate returns independent of whether you show up to work next Monday. Here's the clearest way to understand the gap. A doctor earning $400,000 a year with $800,000 in debt, a $12,000 monthly mortgage, 2 car payments, and $30,000 in savings is rich, objectively high income. But their wealth, their actual net position, is negative. A retired teacher with a paid-off home, $600,000 in index funds, and no debt is wealthy. Modest income history, but their wealth is substantial and completely independent of their ability to earn. One of those people can weather a storm. The other one cannot. The reason most people conflate rich and wealthy is straightforward. Wealth is invisible. Income is loud. When someone is earning well, you can see it. The car, the address, the vacations they post, the restaurants, the clothes. These are the signals we've been conditioned since childhood to associate with financial success. We see them, we register, that person has money, and the association sticks. But what you cannot see from the outside, ever, is the balance sheet behind the lifestyle. You cannot see the debt load. You cannot see the savings rate. You cannot see whether the mortgage is 28% of their income or 62% of it. You cannot see whether there's 6 months of expenses in reserve or 6 days. The car in the driveway tells you almost nothing about the financial position of the person driving it. A $90,000 vehicle can be owned outright by someone who barely noticed the purchase. Or it can be a $1,400 monthly commitment stretching a budget that was already thin. We've built an entire culture of financial signaling around consumption, things you can see, while the actual measure of financial health, wealth, remains almost entirely hidden. And this creates a deeply distorted picture of what success looks like. We model our financial behavior on what we observe, and what we observe is almost entirely spending. Not saving, not investing, not building. Spending. If income isn't the number that tells the real story, what is? Here are the 4 figures that actually define your financial position. Number 1, net worth. Total assets minus total liabilities. Everything you own, home equity, investments, savings, business value, minus everything you owe. This is the foundational number. It tells you where you actually stand, not where your pay stub says you stand. Most high earners have never calculated this number honestly. Number 2, savings rate. The percentage of your income that gets kept. Not spent, not owed, actually retained. This single number predicts long-term financial outcomes better than gross income in almost every study that's looked at it. A 25% savings rate on $80,000 builds more wealth over 30 years than a 5% savings rate on $200,000. Most people optimize for the income and ignore the rate entirely. Number 3, financial runway. If your income stopped today, completely, immediately, how many months could you sustain your current life without touching long-term investments? This number is the real measure of financial security, not your salary, not your job title. How long you can survive without the next paycheck. Number 4, passive income ratio. What percentage of your expenses could be covered by income that doesn't require you to work? Dividends, rental income, interest, business distributions. At 0%, you are entirely dependent on your earned income. Every percentage point above zero is a step toward actual financial independence. Most people can tell you their salary to the dollar. Almost no one can tell you their net worth, their savings rate, their financial runway, or their passive income ratio. That's not a coincidence. Those numbers are harder to say out loud at a dinner party. Here's where the rich versus wealthy distinction gets genuinely important, because there are specific patterns that look like financial success while actively destroying wealth. The first one is lifestyle debt. This is debt taken on not to acquire an asset, a business, a property that generates income, but to fund a consumption level the income can't quite sustain. Car loans, personal loans, buy now, pay later on furniture, revolving credit card balances. Each one individually feels manageable. Together, they consume a growing percentage of income in interest payments alone, money that generates nothing, builds nothing, and returns nothing. The second is whole life consumption housing, buying the most house you can possibly afford, stretching to the very ceiling of what the bank will approve, is one of the most effective ways to eliminate financial margin for decades. Housing costs at 40 or 50% of income don't just limit saving, they eliminate optionality entirely. You cannot take the career risk, help the family member, or absorb the unexpected expense. Every dollar is already spoken for. The third is the upgrade cycle. The pattern where every raise gets translated into an upgraded lifestyle rather than an improved balance sheet. New phone, new car, new apartment. Each upgrade individually reasonable. Together, they ensure that income growth and wealth growth become completely decoupled. And the fourth, perhaps the most insidious, is performance spending. Money spent specifically to signal a financial position that doesn't actually exist. The watch that communicates success, the car that communicates status, the vacation that communicates a lifestyle. These aren't purchases made for enjoyment, they're purchases made for an audience, and they are extraordinarily efficient at converting income into zero. Rich people often do all four of these. Wealthy people almost never do. The research on high net worth individuals, people who have actually accumulated substantial wealth rather than just earned substantial income, shows a remarkably consistent set of mental models that differ sharply from the cultural norm. The first shift is from income thinking to asset thinking. Instead of asking, how much do I earn, the question becomes, what do I own that produces value? Income is what you trade time for. Assets are what produce value while you sleep. Wealthy people are relentlessly focused on acquiring assets, ownership stakes, investment positions, properties that generate income, rather than upgrading consumption. The second shift is from monthly affordability to total cost. When evaluating any significant purchase, the question isn't, can I afford the monthly payment? It's, what is the total cost of this decision, including opportunity cost? A $60,000 car purchased at 35 instead of invested is not a $60,000 decision. Compounded over 30 years at average market returns, that's closer to $500,000. The monthly payment thinking makes purchases feel smaller than they are. Total cost thinking makes the real stakes visible. The third shift is from visible wealth to actual optionality. Wealthy people are often surprisingly indifferent to what their financial position looks like from the outside. What they are deeply focused on is what their financial position allows them to do. Can I leave this job if I need to? Can I take this opportunity? Can I absorb this crisis without it becoming a catastrophe? Optionality, the freedom to choose, is what they're building toward, not the appearance of having already arrived. These aren't complicated ideas, but they require a fundamental reorientation of what the goal actually is. Here's the single most useful reframe from everything we've covered. Every financial decision you make either builds your balance sheet or depletes it. That's it. There's no third category. The car payment depletes it, the index fund contribution builds it. The vacation on credit depletes it. The vacation paid in cash from discretionary income is neutral. The house you can comfortably afford builds it through equity. The house that consumes 55% of your income depletes everything else around it. Rich is a cash flow position. It can disappear in a month. A layoff, a health event, a business failure. Wealthy is a balance sheet position. It is far more durable. It persists when the income stops. It compounds when you're not paying attention. It is the only version of financial security that is actually secure. The goal isn't to look wealthy. The goal is to be wealthy. And those two things require almost opposite behaviors. One demands you spend to signal. The other demands you build, quietly, consistently, without an audience. Most people will spend their entire working lives being rich on paper and wondering why financial security never quite arrives. The ones who figure this out, usually not because they earned more, but because they changed what they were measuring, end up with something most high earners never built: actual freedom. Remember those two neighbors, same street, same house, same car. You still don't know which one is which, but you now know exactly which numbers would tell you. If this landed for you, subscribe. The next video goes into one of the most well-documented psychological traps that keeps smart people from ever translating income into wealth, even when they understand everything we covered today.